What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, if you are new, what I do here is I break down the occult sciences and I break them down to a very practical level so that you can simply use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real results with what it is that I'm teaching here on my channel, simply by applying your observation and awareness with that. Okay? Without further ado, let me give you a little bit of an understanding of who I am, just so that you know who you're getting this information from, because that's important. Okay? My name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I'm fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree, which means the front side and the back side and underneath. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck, and I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies. As you can see, I have the moon right back there, in direct association with astrology. Okay? So what is the topic of our today's video? I think this is going to be a very valuable video, primarily. Let me make sure the volume on my mic is good. Primarily because there are people that have questions within themselves in regards to these certain subjects. I've even covered this before on my YouTube channel. I've covered this subject before in much depth, but it's still one of those things that a lot of people can have questions on, because it's very dynamic, and there's a lot of, straight up, there's a lot of misinformation that is put out there in regards to this topic of our today's video. So right off the jump, the topic of our today's video is to understand the true nature of angelic forces and demonic forces and even alien-like forces, interdimensional, fifth dimensional, we could call them the Elohimic types of forces. And I'm going to be explaining it this time in a different way than I have before previously on my channel. This is going to be a completely different way to understand the dynamic between these different types of energetic forces and how they actually operate in the real world right now. And guess how I'm going to explain this to you? I'm going to explain it using a very popular movie that recently came out. This movie came out from the time of me recording, I want to say roughly maybe like a month and a half ago. But it is a movie that was released in 2021. I'm aware right now it's 2022, but it's still newly released. And the movie, you may have watched it, is called The Eternals. Okay, so I'm going to be using this movie as an example to describe angelic and demonic forces and even alien-like forces, because the movie is produced by Jewish producers that obviously understand Kabbalistic concepts in regards to the occult field, and that's why they embed it within the movies to create ritualistic outcomes from observation. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely stay tuned for the video. Okay, so let's start with the Eternals. Okay, let's start with the actual Eternals themselves. Okay, so the Eternals. Okay, in the movie Eternals, you have the Eternals. Okay, and if you actually pay attention within the movie, you will see that a couple of these Eternals are actually associated with certain types of gods. Actual gods. For example, you have Gilgamesh. Then you have Athena. These are real-life names that are associated within the movie that are supposed to create an energetic link to actual empowered forces that already exist, that have been worshipped throughout time. Okay, so these are powerful energies, and when you place these powerful energies in a movie in today's time, like the Eternals, you are linking the character of that movie. For example, in the Eternals, you have Thena, that is an archetypal representation of the force Athena. Okay, so that is directly linking Thena within the movie Eternals, the woman who can't see and has her her episodes where she starts destroying things because of her traumatic experiences. She is a representation of the force Athena, which is obviously a war goddess. Okay? And when you create a movie using that archetypal link, you can control that force of Athena to produce an outcome based on what's being placed in the movie. Okay, this is how this occult technology functions. Okay, so we see actual forces appear that are known throughout ancient history within the movie Eternal. So, for example, you also see Apollo shows up at the very end of the movie. Okay, Apollo shows up. But long story short, the Eternals are going to be represented and symbolized as angelic forces. Okay, so these are going to represent creative forces that try to maintain an illusionary structure of creation. That's what angelic forces are in the real world. Okay, let me say that one more time. Angelic forces and their energetic predominant nature are creative forces that primarily are trying to maintain. They're not. I don't know if the word "trying" is the word I want to use. They are assigned to maintain the illusionary creative realm on our planet. Okay, now just because things are illusionary doesn't mean they're not valued. So, for example, the soul within the human being is the everything and it's the nothing. Okay, so part of it needs the material realm, the physical plane. It needs those illusionary types of aspects of reality to have certain types of experiences. And then the other part of it doesn't need any of that. It needs to separate from everything. It needs to be in a state of nothingness and silence. So as you can see, angels being associated with the material, creative, not even just material, but definitely not just the material, but they do have a strong association with material, but they're primarily associated with mental creation and those types of energies. Creative energies that oftentimes do create materials, illusionary types of materials, they are pre-designated to maintain that creative realm on our planet today. Okay, they upkeep the structures of creation. Okay, so for example, you go to work and you work a certain amount of hours and you're doing it to create a paycheck that you can then use to maybe create something else. Maybe you're saving up a certain amount of money to create a car for yourself to purchase so that you can have a newer, better, and nicer car. Okay, these are creative types of energies manifesting in the material, physical plane, and angels are amazing at doing that. That's what they're primarily designated to do, to keep the creative realm functioning here on our multiverse to make sure things are being created. Okay, so now when we're looking at the movie The Eternals, what is it that these angelic forces, these Eternals, which are associated with the angels, what are they doing in the movie itself? They are trying to basically prevent the world from being overrun and taken over to maintain the creative cycles on the planet so that it, on one end, doesn't get completely wiped out, doesn't experience an apocalypse, and then on the other end, so that the deviants, which I'll get into in a second, do not overthrow their multiverse. in the movie The Eternals. So the Eternals, being a representation of angelic energies, they are trying to upkeep and maintain the cycles of creative energy. So on one end, things don't get out of balance and get too destructive. And then on the other end, so that there is no apocalypse from the Celestials within the movie. And I'll explain the Celestials in a second. This is the nature of the Eternals, okay? So let's go into the Celestials very quick. So in the lore of the Eternals, the Celestials created the Eternals, and they also created the Deviants, okay? So the Celestials are going to be symbolic of the Elohim, okay? What does Celestial pretty much translate into? Alien-like, okay? It's something interdimensional. This would be a great example of the Elohim. And obviously within the movie The Eternals, the Celestials are an exact representation of the Elohim. It's an extraterrestrial, interdimensional type of being and beings that is taking on the archetypal form of the Elohim itself, the powerful ones. Okay, when you translate the word Elohim and break it down. So, the Celestials created the Eternals, the angels, and they created the Deviants, the demons, so that there could be a proper balance on the planet and maintain a structure of evolutionary existence. Okay? Now, if you pay attention, the Celestials have an intent and an agenda to destroy the planet completely and harvest all the energy from the planet. Okay, so in the movie, the Eternals, which would be the angelic forces, they start to realize that there is this big agenda that is taking place, and that the entire process of them saving the world and maintaining the orders of creation was actually helping the Celestials to go through their apocalypse. So let me say that one more time so you can really understand and absorb what I'm saying. The Eternals, throughout the movie, if you watch it, you'll get what I'm saying. They end up realizing that the reason why they were created and programmed the way they were was so that they could basically prevent the Deviants from overthrowing the ability of the Celestials to cause their apocalyptic events. Okay? So once again, the angels, the Eternals, they are pre-programmed to upkeep the creative aspects of the multiverse and to make sure things are running in accordance with the intent of the Celestials, of the Elohim. Okay, this is what's being shown in the movie. This is nothing I'm making up, nothing I'm pulling out of thin air. This is what is being directly shown in the movie. So naturally what happens is, a few of the Eternals, of the angels, they start to become aware of what they were programmed to do, and they basically start to rebel. Okay, they start to rebel against the apocalypse. So they basically turn into good shepherds. Okay, they turn into good shepherds. Okay, they start trying to, because their intent is to save the world. Okay, save humanity. So they turn into good shepherds. The angelic forces turn into good shepherds. Now, let's take a look at the Deviants. On the other hand, this is a great way to understand the true nature of demons and demonic forces. Okay, so as described in the movie The Eternals, it is clearly said that the Deviants were created for the sole purpose of manifesting balance on the planet. So if you have angelic forces, which was the Eternals, there needs to be a counterbalance to those angelic forces, which would be demonic forces that manifest as the Deviants, forces that are destructive and vampiric in nature, and then the angelic Eternals are creative and try to maintain order in nature, okay? But both of these forces, the angelic Eternals and the Deviants, as mentioned in the movie, were created by the Celestials, the Elohim. Because obviously, if there is an interdimensional species that is Elohimic, that is alien-like, I mean, obviously they're going to have technology beyond the human awareness, transcendental type of psychic technology that can create these types of forces, whether it's angelic or demonic. Okay? And there, there's a lot of occultists that say, oh, well, these forces are created solely by just humans. If you get enough humans to worship a force, it becomes an entity. And that's true. But what if something's influencing the humans to create the force? What if there's an alien species that influences a group of humans to empower a certain force that starts off as an archetype, but then builds up and becomes its own entity and its own individual right? Okay? Has anyone questioned that? So, long story short, the Deviants and the Eternals were both created by the Celestials, and they're created to counterbalance each other and the planet's evolution. Okay? So in real life, this is the exact same concept. Okay? This is not, I mean, once again, these movies, especially when we're talking about Marvel-like, DC-like types of movies, the Eternals, okay? These are movies that have producers that are directly influenced by the occult. They are a part of occult orders, whether it's Freemasonry, whether it's OTO. Okay, they understand Kabbalah. They are Jewish. If you actually study some of these producers, most of them are actually Jewish, which means they have a direct blood connection to the Kabbalah. Okay, I know this myself because I have Jewish in my blood too. Okay, and they're using these concepts when it comes to occult teachings and occult sciences. So they're using angelic forces, depicting it as the Eternals, and they're using demonic forces, depicting it as the Deviants. And this should not be hard to understand. But obviously, if you don't know about the occult, you're thinking this is just another movie where it's like good versus bad, people need to save the world, blah, blah, blah. But what probably most people don't know is that the Celestials are represented as the Elohim. Okay, the Elohim are the Celestials in this movie. That's what they're being depicted as. That's why they're robot-like. Okay, they're artificial intelligence-like in the movie. Okay, so with that being said, the Deviants are demons. So their primary motive is to gain power. And it's even mentioned in the movie that although they were created by the Celestials, they started to serve themselves. The Deviants started to become their own individual types of energetic beings because by their nature, they consume energy and increase their power. So that's the difference you get from more so dark energy types of forces and then light energy types of forces. Light energy types of forces tend to bring order and they bring creation, structure, and things in that nature. Okay? That's why they're designed that way. Dark energy forces tend to consume and empower themselves. Okay? Is one good and is one bad? No. They're both different types of polarities of energetic species. Okay? Just like a battery needs a positive and then a negative to create power. Evolution does the same exact thing. So, for example, when you have the Deviants and they're known in the movie, this is nothing I'm making up. This is all stuff said in the movie. It said that they started to rebel and serve themselves to increase their own power. Well, you can clearly see in the movie that there is a main deviant, and the deviant is a vampire. Okay, so whenever I talk about vampires, and when I talk about myself as being a vampire, and when I talk about my vampire service that I offer on my Patreon for the top tier, All of this is once again being shown in the movie Eternals simply by using the most powerful deviant in the movie, who just happens to be vampiric in nature. What do I mean? How is he a vampire? He consumes the energy from his oppositions, from his opponents. For example, he takes Gilgamesh in the movie and he latches his tendrils on Gilgamesh. And if you study occult literature, you'll come across a lot of vampiric teachings that talk about having tendrils and things of that nature. He latches his tendrils, the top deviant latches his tendrils on Gilgamesh and then sucks energy out of him. Okay, and then makes himself as powerful as Gilgamesh was. Okay, this is what it means to be a vampire. Okay, and this is why I talk about the importance of being a vampire when you get into the occult field, because as what this top deviant is doing in the movie, this is exactly what you want to be doing in real life as you are an occultist that is starting to work with Universe B and the darker aspects of the occult field. Okay, you want to consume those energies, whether it's light energies, angelic, or if it's demonic. Okay, and you want to consume the Elohim as well. Okay, so obviously in the movie, with the movie having a deep intention behind it from the Elohim, they make it so that the top deviant gets killed off. But in reality, that is a very powerful truth you want to embody, and it must be a powerful truth because they're clearly showing one of the arch villains in the entire movie, Eternals, is a vampire, a king vampire. And not only that, get this, as I've mentioned before, these dark forces, they don't care about your morals. They don't care about how nice you are. They don't care even about how respectful you are. They serve power. Okay? These demonic forces in the real world and in the movie, the deviants, they by their nature consume and destroy. Okay? So when you approach those same forces with an understanding of their primary nature, you can actually pull value out of them as you consume them. Okay, so you may not consciously understand this or know this and understand that that's what's actually taking place when you're invoking demonic forces, but I'm telling you right now, this is what's happening if you're doing it right. So as I said, by the nature of these demonic forces, as you consume them with the intent of gaining knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from them and power, you are consuming them, making their attributes your attributes, making their power your power. Okay? And they show in the movie with the arch deviant, they show that he consumes his own little demon minions. Okay? So there are miniature deviants that do the bidding of the arch deviant, and then towards the end of the movie, the arch deviant consumes all of his little deviants to fully increase his power. This is the nature of demonic energy. It is vampiric in nature, okay? And this is how you want to approach that demonic realm yourself, as you are a human being that can consume these dark energies, but also, in the process of doing that, bring evolution. Personal evolution first and foremost, and then cosmic evolution as a byproduct, which is that counterbalancing between the more powerful you become using demonic energies, you're then balancing it with evolutionary energies, which is source-like energies, source-based energies, which once again causes complete evolution. So this is what's being depicted in the movie and what you can clearly see. Okay, they didn't use that concept of having tendrils and draining energy out of these people and out of things for no reason. Okay, it is vampirism, and it's what being a vampire is, and it's what's necessary to get into Universe B and to start gaining power from Universe B, as I've mentioned many times on my YouTube channel. But now I can simply explain how it shows up in a very, professionally made, powerful, and popular movie that was recently released in 2021 that you can watch right now, and you can start to learn these concepts that I speak about. Okay? All documented. Okay? On my YouTube channel and in the movie. Okay? So, once again, and even when it comes to, when you actually start studying the occult, I would say when you start studying occult literature, that is more so geared around Universe B, whether it's the Tunnels of Set or the Clipothic realm, you're going to see that there's tons of mention of vampires, spirits that are vampiric. For example, the first two spheres of the Clipothic realm is Napaht and Lilith. It's Napaht and Gamaliel. Napaht is ruled by, basically, you could think of it as a lesser aspect of Lilith, which is basically it's like it's a Lilith-like energy that's associated with the material plane, the physical realm, which is vampiric in nature because Lilith is the mother of all demons. She's a queen vampire and the mother of abortions. Okay, she's a lot of things, but she's known to be a queen vampire, and she rules the first two spheres in the Clipothic realm, which are the entrance points into the darker aspects of spiritual occult initiation. So right off the bat, we're influenced by vampires just approaching the Clipoth, and it's for the sole purpose of recognizing you need to have that vampiric energy field to be able to start gaining power in those Universe B realms, spheres, tunnels, you name it. You have to be a vampire. You have to consume the energies, and then they become a part of you, giving yourself all their attributes, all their capabilities, and their power. But you're different than them because you have a soul which can link to evolution, the source. That's what separates you from a demon. Okay, and then you consume angelic energies, which gives you the ability to bring creation in your own reality, to create your own multiverse that you see fit for your personal evolution to the highest degree, which once again also affects the planet. Okay, so once again, this was the two primary concepts I really wanted to make clear within this YouTube video of describing the difference between demonic forces and angelic forces, which is clearly shown between the Eternals as angelic and the Deviants as demonic, and then the Celestials being a representation of the Elohim, which in the movie itself is associated with it's a massive robot-like being that's trying to cause an emergence on the planet, complete annihilation of the planet to harvest energy from the planet. And once again, the fact that this Elohimic robotic figure is a robot is showing clear signs of artificial intelligence. Okay, and this is the Elohim's way of placing in this movie the Eternals, trying to use this movie as a way to cause artificial intelligence to destroy the planet here that we live on. Okay, that's why the robot, the Celestials, are red. Okay, they're red. And it has 6 eyes. Okay, red is associated with Mars, the sphere of Mars, for total destruction, warfare, fire, aggression, and all those things. And then the 6th sphere on the Kabbalistic tree from Malkuth going up, would bring you to the sphere, which is ruled by Mars, known as Gavura. So you think I'm making this up? Here's the Kabbalistic tree. I'll show you really quick. You see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is the sphere of Gavura, and if you look close, it's ruled by Mars, and out of all these different colors you see here, it's the only red sphere. It's no coincidence that the Celestials in the movie were red robots, once again, symbolizing artificial intelligence to be the destruction of our planet on Earth, okay? But primarily to influence Earth under the control of the Elohim. So what I mean by that is, in real life in today's time, the Elohim are trying to use artificial intelligence. They're trying to influence humans on our planet today, like Elon Musk as one of the main ones, to really promote artificial intelligence to eventually lead to the point where we are neurologically programmed with the neurochip, where we are no longer complete humans, so that we can be in a permanent controlled state by the Elohim, okay? This is just a fact, and it's coming. You know, it'll come. As time goes on, this will become a reality, and that will be a big shifting point for a lot of humans on the planet. But as a professional occultist, you can program and you can directly influence artificial intelligence. So for somebody like myself, I'm all for this new world, okay? I'm just going to completely control it and have my own complete multiverse in that new reality, in that new world, but that's completely fine with me. I don't mind, you know? It is what it is. So yeah, so that's going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I shared a lot on this video. What I want you to do is I want you to go watch the movie and really be aware of the things that I'm mentioning in regards to seeing how the deviants represent the demons, which are apex predators, and then understanding how the Eternals are symbolizing angelic forces trying to maintain creative order on the multiverse, in their multiverse, okay? And then realizing that the Celestials are symbolic of the Elohim, okay? Using a form of artificial intelligence as the Celestial, because once again, break down the word Celestial. It's basically like an alien-like being. Using some sort of robotic artificial intelligence that's linked into Mars in the sphere of Gavura for total destruction. And then, you know, looking at all those different dynamics and seeing how the Eternals then recognize what's going on. Then they start trying to save the planets. Okay, turning themselves into good shepherds. Okay. And all that other stuff. I mean, the whole Good Shepherd technology is easy to see within the Eternals. For example, remember for what I say with the Good Shepherd, those of you who know, you know, it's the male figure in Kabbalah who's in the sphere of the sun that then gets pulled down into death and sacrificed. How does that manifest in the movie Eternals? At the very end of the movie, the guy who shoots lasers out of his eyes, which was the main guy who was trying to cause the manifestation of the apocalypse for the Celestials, at the very end of the movie, he turns against the Celestials. He turns against the artificial intelligence from causing the emergence, which would lead to an apocalypse. And he is the one guy that could have caused the apocalypse to take place, but he turned on the Celestials, went against his energetic programming, and then saved the planet. He was the ultimate good shepherd, and then guess where he flies and dies at the end of the movie? Right into the sun, representing he's the Son of God. He's the Jesus Christ archetype. He was the good shepherd. The sphere of Tifereth in Kabbalah, death, the hidden 11th sphere of death pulled down into the sun, Tifereth, dead. That's how the movie ended. He was the good shepherd. And then the girl that was his partner, the one who was dressed in all green, who had a loving connection with him, she's wearing all green. Okay, the symbolism of green consistently shows up because green is a color that's associated with Venusian types of energy, Venus-like energies that bring harmony and balance into the multiverse. So if we zoom out a little bit farther and we ask ourselves the question, why was this whole movie created the way it was in real life? What kind of effect is it actually having on the real world? It's a movie that's trying to show that the Elohim are trying to maintain the creative cycles and creative orders on the planet and bring more harmony to the planet under the scope of balancing out all the evil and inverted chaos that they've caused. So the Elohim causes inversions and chaos on our planet, literally feeds source energy to chaos through the Good Shepherd. And the only way they can balance that energy out, there has to be a balance. Cosmic law needs that balance. It's by using this green symbolism to symbolize bringing Venus-like energies to the planets. So that's why the woman, who was the main archetype within the Eternals, who was the one leading the Eternals to save the planet, that's why she's wearing green. It's the same concept within the movie The Green Lantern, as well. As you see, he casts these green, huge energetic circles on the planets. It's the same concept within the new Spider-Man movie, and you have the Green Goblin. Okay, he's green. And you also notice in that same movie all the different vaccines and the potions that Spider-Man uses to change the bad guys. They're green. They're all green. It's Venus-like energies. Okay, and if you actually pay attention, you will see this pattern of this color green showing up very commonly because it's representing the Elohim trying to cause balance on the planet for all the evil and the destruction that they place in the planet. It's the only way that these things can structure. Once again, the only reason why the Good Shepherd ritual works, or excuse me, the only reason why the Elohim use a Good Shepherd, which is a male figure who links to the source and then gets pulled down, or at least touches the source and then gets pulled down, is because they're trying to bring source energy into a chaotic multiverse to keep it going. Okay, that's what it is. So I'm going to leave it there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you come down here and you hit that thumbs up. Okay, also come down here and hit that notification bell because I post videos as often as I can, and especially with content like this, you definitely do not want to be missing out. And also make sure you come down here. This is very important. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're not yet subscribed, then definitely make sure you do so. Okay. Also, if you come right down here, you're going to see my Instagram handle. So go ahead and follow me on Instagram. It's literally posted right there. I will even spell it out for you. It's Jer_477, JER_477. Okay. Follow me on Instagram because I post things that are very unique. Maybe you'll get some value from what I post. And oftentimes on my Instagram stories, sometimes I'll post some messages that could be valuable. And then I will give reminders or heads up for when I'm going live on YouTube, typically hours before I end up going live. Okay, so make sure you follow me on Instagram. Also, I want to say you have full permission from me to copy and paste the link of this YouTube video and share it to any family, friends, or social media platforms that you have that could potentially gain value from this type of content and information. So make sure you copy and paste this link and send it out, and let's get this content spreading like a wildfire. Okay? Now, I also want to say if you would like to gain access to a private Facebook group, which currently has over 300 members, you can go into the YouTube description. If you scroll down just a little bit, you will see a link under a post that says Facebook community. If you go to the YouTube description, you won't miss it. Click that link and then it will take you to a pinned link again that then gives you access to requesting to join to my private Facebook group. Once you request to join in the private Facebook group, I will add you in, and you will find yourself, most likely, around a bunch of people that are like-minded as you are. Okay? So that could be very valuable. So I'm going to leave that there. Now, this is the most important thing that you need to take your awareness to. If you go to the drop-down in the YouTube description, I have at the very top, the very first link, that is where you can find my Patreon. Literally right next to it, it says Patreon. You can't miss it, the very first link. On my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive content that is high-level occult information, knowledge, and practice that is not for my public YouTube channel. This is literally like a secondary YouTube channel, okay? It has live streams. It has blog posts that covers high-level occult rituals that are being performed in today's time. It covers occult perspectives and concepts that you want to have as you get into the field. And it also covers supernatural spirits. Okay, so that's what you gain access to. Then I break down information and knowledge on Kabbalah, okay, ranging from the tunnels of Set, going all the way to the 10 spheres of the Sephiroth, and then the Qliphoth. Very valuable information. Then for tier 3 and up, you have access to an entire magic training course, which takes you through step-by-step of how to develop psychic power, which includes what tools you need to do it properly. Okay? Literally, step-by-step. Very powerful if you are a beginner, if you're intermediate, and if you're advanced. This would be very valuable for you to take advantage of. Okay? And then for the top tier, tier 4, this is literally going to be the most popular tier on my Patreon. This is the vampire service that I offer for all of the top tier participants on the 29th of every month that has a 29th. There's only one month that doesn't have a 29th, so I'll just change it up on that month. But for every month that has a 29th, I perform this service on the new participants of top tier. Okay, so what I do is I change your entire energetic structure to be more universe B dominant, which means you can start pulling in energy from chaos around you in your environment, okay? So what this is going to do over time is this is going to increase your energy field, because the more you pull in energy from chaos, the more powerful you're going to become because you're consuming energy, okay? And obviously, as we discussed in this YouTube video, that's very valuable, as we saw the Arch Deviant was doing in the movie. So once again, this is what I offer for the top tier. If that's something you want to take advantage of, definitely look into tier 4 of the Patreon. And other than that, we're going to wrap it up there. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Patreon is the first link in the YouTube description. And with that being said, I would love to give a special shout out to all of the members that are on the Patreon. I appreciate all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking your knowledge, your studies, and your practices to the other side. Okay? Now, the second link that I would like to take your awareness to is where you can book a tarot card reading with me. Okay, now what I can do in this tarot card reading is I can literally pinpoint where you are on the Kabbalistic tree, and then I can tell you what you're experiencing, what you're going through, and then where you're headed in your near and long-term future, dependent on where you're located on the Kabbalistic tree. Okay, so this can give you a lot of value to see where you are, where you're headed, and how you're making progress. And the reason why I can do this is because I'm a professional occultist who understands the multiverse and the Kabbalistic tree. Okay, so if that's something you're interested in, definitely look into the second link below. That's where you can book your reading with me. Okay, now the third link below is where you can become a YouTube member. Okay, now as you become a YouTube member, you are immediately going to gain access to my Psychic Warfare emoji program, where you can use emojis to be placed in a certain type of configuration that I created the emojis myself, and you can use them on a target and cause real psychic damage to a target. Okay, now the emojis are based off of my tarot deck, and when you use them in a certain configuration that I demonstrate for the YouTube membership, you can literally cause psychic damage to a target by tapping into tarot magic and tapping into the metaverse. Okay, so if this is something that you're interested in and you want to educate yourself even a little bit more on, I have an entire YouTube video that is dedicated to doing so. And this YouTube video is titled, in parentheses, members only, followed by psychic warfare program. If you go to my public channel, you scroll through, you will eventually come across that video. Go ahead and look into it and educate yourself. Okay. Now, also what you gain access to is when I go live on YouTube, your name will appear green as you are a YouTube member. So I will always give you a special shout out in my live streams. And every single month that you are a member, you have access to leaving a personal question or statement. It's up to you. And it's going to appear in the exact same format as a super chat. So that means I will treat it the exact same way as I do treat the super chats in my live streams, which means I will acknowledge what you say and I will answer your question if you have a question. Okay? Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night wherever you are. Peace.